Hi, my name is Mary. I am talking to you about my son. His name is Landon. He's a third grader. He is almost 9.5 years old, and we started with neurofeedback when he was still 8. We started noticing in second grade that not only did he have very poor handwriting, he had quite a difficult time remembering things, quite a difficult time paying attention. He also had a very hard time with math facts that would go between addition and subtraction. If it were all addition, he could usually start to manage, but if they flipped on the page, he would get very confused and get all of his answers wrong. We also just noticed that he just didn't enjoy school. He felt, I think, intimidated by it. It did not come easy to him at all. And then we got to the reading part. He was in kindergarten when COVID happened, so he never got to finish kindergarten. And his first grade year, although he had a very sweet teacher, he was kind of lost in the mix in a big classroom and taken out multiple times a year for COVID exposures. And because of that, he lost about 4 weeks at the very least, of his first grade year. So his reading by second grade wasn't anywhere near what it should be. I think that they told me he was on the level of an early first grader when he entered second grade. So we were well behind. Thankfully, in second grade, his teacher was able to get him into a program that helped at school. And that did start to help us, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But it was sort of something that we just managed the symptoms, managed the issues, not always successfully, but to the best of our abilities. Lots of extra studying and extra worksheets and things like that instead of trying to get to the root of what was going on. This created in him quite a lot of just feeling self-conscious about his reading, feeling inadequate, feeling like he wasn't good at it, didn't enjoy it, absolutely hated it, to be honest. It was like pulling teeth to get him to do his reading homework. He also struggled at a great degree with comprehension. Unfortunately, he would read something and then not remember what he said whatsoever, or what he read, excuse me. So that was incredibly frustrating for him because obviously in second grade, and especially now in third grade, he's expected to comprehend, expected to remember. So, it really impacted how he felt about himself and his self-esteem. So what we tried, in that year or so before we found I guess a year and a half before we found neurofeedback, we obviously put him in the program with extra help at school. Lots and lots of practice at home, different supplements to help with focus and things like that. And although we had some success, we certainly were still lacking quite a bit. And that showed up big time in the very first few weeks of third grade. He started with all F's on absolutely everything. And it just broke my heart for him because he's actually a really smart kid. He's actually incredibly smart. And so we were just sort of at a point of what else can we do? We're not going to put him on medication. We're not going to do anything like that. That's just not where our beliefs lie. And then a friend of mine who has actually 3 children going through neurofeedback told me about the neurofeedback that they were doing. And immediately I was like, that's awesome. That sounds amazing. So I was able to get an appointment really quickly, thank goodness. And they wanted him to do 40 sessions. And as a mom of 3 kids, I was at first a little bit intimidated about that, if I'm totally honest, because that's a lot. We are going here, there, and everywhere, sports and homework, and I've got 2 other children. But I just knew I've got to try at least. So we got started, and as often as we could, we would come twice a week. We were really lucky with their flexibility and their ability to fit us in right after school or right before our sports. And thankfully we're convenient to our house, so we were able to kind of run back and forth as needed, and that made a huge difference for me as his mom, because I'm only one person. It didn't take long. I would say I believe we started in October, and it did not take long before all of a sudden he was coming home with A's, and it felt truly like a miracle in a lot of ways. I also just noticed his self-esteem picking up. I noticed him being more motivated. It wasn't perfect, and we still had grades where, he could have done better, or maybe he missed something that should have been obvious. But all of those things slowly got better with time. Is anything perfect? Absolutely not. But my goodness, he has made leaps and bounds this year. We have just seen a total shift in him, honestly. He had a 30-book challenge at school, and if I'm being totally honest, I didn't think there was any way that he would complete that. 30 books in a school year. And they had to be, chapter books. And it was, let's see, so the fall semester, he, with lots of effort and home, work, he got, I think, about 2 books. And slowly but surely, he finished 30 books between, I guess, January and April. And 95% of that was like self-motivated from him. I, to be honest, had completely let that go as an expectation, and whatever happened, because I just thought this is impossible for him to get 30 books. And now he's asking me to buy him more books. He's wanting to read. He feels confident. He comprehends so much better. His grades on his reading comprehension couldn't be more different. So overall, our life is just easier. I mean, we still study. I still am looking over his shoulder a little bit for either simple mistakes or, are you missing something? Maybe someday I'll stop doing that. I would like to, but I am just astonished with how much it has changed his demeanor towards school and his behavior in school and his just accomplishments in school. He has impressed me this year, and I absolutely attribute that quite a lot to neurofeedback. So I would absolutely recommend this to another family who's struggling with similar things. And I would just say, give it a try. You have nothing to lose. I thought that it was really quite funny. We finished our 40th session, and there was a little bittersweetness because everyone here is so kind and so sweet and so friendly to him and to our whole family. So I told him, hey, guess what? It's our last day. And he's like, oh, man. So that made me laugh a little bit because he clearly enjoys coming. He clearly enjoys the fact that he can pick what show he wants to watch while he's doing it. He has flexibility in that, and it keeps his interest peaked, which I think is everything for a boy who can't pay attention. So it is absolutely something that you should try. It's something that you should consider for your child, especially before you ever choose medication that can alter their brain forever and not in positive ways. So we are just grateful and happy and hopeful that this is just going to be kind of that launching pad for him as he enters 4th grade in the fall.